Now to today, Property Watch. Aussie house prices have fallen at the fastest rate on record over the past 12 months. But it's not all bad news for homeowners, with some regions actually bucking the trend.
To tell us more, we're joined by Domain property editor Alice Stoltz in Melbourne. Good morning, Alice. So tell us, where are we seeing these house prices increase and what is behind the growth?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, Australia's property market is really quite complex, and there are markets within that overall market. We've got capital city prices softening, but around the country we've got many regional areas which have seen double-digit growth over the past year. Now, the reason for that is that surge of people wanting to move to the country for really two reasons: affordability, we're getting price out of the cities, and also lifestyle, with the opportunity to work from home now available for many people. So in terms of where we're seeing that, you can see we're going to have a look around the country now. If we start off in Queensland, we can see the council area here is Somerset Council. That's only a 60-minute drive from Brisbane, and it really offers that chance to have a regional experience while being quite close to the city still. And the median house price there is $502,000. Now, moving on to New South Wales, we can see it's Glen Innes, Severn Shire, and this is a 7-hour drive from Sydney. So this is a really different sort of country experience. But look at that annual price change, 30.8%, really quite a big step up on what it was the year prior. Over to Victoria now. Now, Murrindini is in the top three, and the areas in that, the towns in that area, is Alexandria, Yea and Kinglake. And those prices have actually doubled over the past 5 years alone. Now, heading to South Australia, it's Narracoo, Lucindale saw the most growth by 38.3%. So again, you can really see the strength of that South Australian market. And in WA, it's Tudye and Augusta, Margaret River and Bustleton took the top 3 spots for annual price growth. So what we're going to see with the regional areas now, we're not probably going to see ever again that massive spike in regional price growth, but they do offer really good affordable options for buyers who are really driven by affordability.
Alice, let's talk auction clearance rates now. How were they looking last weekend?
Clint, not too bad. Auctions just kicked off again. Over the summer we have a much more lazier, quieter period, but you can see around the country now the rates are not too bad. Sydney saw 67%, Melbourne 58% and Adelaide 55%. So it's going to be fascinating watching what happens to them over the months ahead, with interest rates pinging around as everybody is predicting. On to auction numbers today. Melbourne just pipped Sydney slightly. 338 auctions in Melbourne. Listings are still down, and you can see that many sellers are holding back for as long as they probably can, waiting for the market to stabilise somewhat. But with so much uncertainty ahead, it's going to be really interesting how that actually plays out.
All right, we all like to dream, Alice. So what was the most expensive home to sell this week?
It was another amazing apartment in Queensland this week on the Gold Coast. It's in Currumbin in Queensland. It sold for $10.125 million. So such a huge amount. Opposite beautiful Elephant Rock, 1,000 square metres of prime land. So again, I think we're seeing an opportunity here that someone's probably going to do something quite incredible with a lot that size. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, we're seeing a great little unit in Broome in Western Australia that sold, was the most affordable best buy we've got for $129,000. This is a ground floor studio in a secure complex, and guys, the complex has a pool, so you can actually access a pool with $129,000 somewhere in the country. So I feel like that's almost a breaking news story.
Sure.
You
definitely do.
And I'm hearing a bit of buzz, a bit of talk about this incredible home you've got for us in South Australia right now.
Have you ever wanted a house, guys, with an aquarium in it? Look at that.
That's just not any aquarium, is it?
It is an incredible, with an amazing tropical garden as well. So it's in Port Lincoln, South Australia, on the market for $3.85 million on an amazing waterfront location. And if you've got time, there's a little architectural house in Tassie that's also on the market. It's in King Meadows in Tasmania, about a 10-minute drive from Launceston. It's on the market for $1.69 million if you're looking for a very different type of property from that one in South Australia.
Look at that wine collection as well.
I know.
That'd be worth a bit.
The aquarium puts my fishbowl to to Shane.
It does. You wouldn't need a pool if you've got the aquarium.
Just whack some fish in it in the pool. That'll do.
Thank you, Alice.
Thanks, Alan. Well, many families across Australia are being pushed to the brink by a rental crisis that at the moment is showing no signs of slowing down.
With the national vacancy rate now less than 1%, Queensland's fastest growing city, Ipswich, has come up with a crafty solution to increase affordable housing. And for more, we are joined by Ipswich business owner Steve Mallett and Amy McVeigh, CEO of the Queensland Council of Social Service. So, Steve, to you first. The council is keen for you to convert the empty space above your shop into apartments. What do you think about this?
Yes, Belinda, I think it's a fantastic idea. We are a very mix of young and old people here in the Ipswich CBD and city in general. We have a very large population, and it's been very encouraging to know that all the vacant spaces above these buildings that all exit down onto the main street of Ipswich. So there's no issues with access in and out after hours, basically to the restaurants, schools close by for those who do want to have children, those who don't, a lot of activity, shopping centres. So I think it's a fantastic idea and something that's been missing for quite a long time.
Steve, sounds good in theory, but there's usually lots of red tape around these kinds of changes. So talk to me about the process. How has it been? How have you found it so far?
The process is going well. We need to continue to get more building owners on board. So we need to get a group of people who are very interested in doing this with their vacant spaces or with their current occupied spaces when they become vacant. There's probably quite a lot of work to do with the state government and local governments as far as the red tape. We definitely need to just stay together and bond together as a group for the good of the city. The city has got all the buildings in place, all the structures in place. It has all the facilities that are big enough to be used as units. We just don't have the people in the CBD using them. So if we can turn them into accommodation, I think we need to get together and have these meetings with the government to find out what the red tape is, what areas can be greyed a little bit to make it affordable for the developers to develop these units. That usually seems to be the biggest issue, is the cost for us as owners, and a lot of the red tape that gets raised by local governments, which are rules and regulations that maybe we can see are definitely benefits, or we don't want to make anything unsafe, but sometimes I think the red tape is just too hard to cut through.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does seem like a win-win. Amy, over to you. What's your take on this new program?
Look, I think it's incredibly encouraging to see local government consider all options to increase housing supply in Queensland. As you say, Queensland really is at the centre of Australia's housing crisis, and we do need to see local, state and the federal government all come together to come up with new ideas to increase housing supply in Queensland and across the country.
It's particularly bad in Queensland, but the stark reality is the fact it's a rental crisis that's hitting so hard right across the country. So do other councils, this is a big question, do other councils stand up and say we should maybe follow suit?
Look, as you say, we are the centre of the housing crisis. We have a population about the size of Queensland's fifth biggest town on a social housing register, as well as a real squeeze in our private rental market. We had a housing summit here in Queensland last year, and our state government committed to looking at all state-owned assets to see whether they could be repurposed to increase supply of social housing. This is another great example of how councils or governments can look at what we already have and how those assets can be repurposed. And we would really encourage all levels of government to apply that creative thinking to ensure that we are building and supplying more houses across Australia.
We certainly need it. The time is now. Amy, Steve, thank you so much for joining us on Weekend Today.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my God, Karl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports and amazing Aussie stories.
And Karl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.